Hello, welcome to episode 2.
There's our blanket, excellent.
Asymmetrical twin. Dropping and sinking.
Notice how
So just notice. Joining us for the second episode of next week. Namaste. Hello and welcome to episode 59 of Namaste Yoga. I'm here with my friend Ninka from yogabliss.me. We are starting a new series of classes this week. We're going to do a 7-week series on the organ body. So in this class we'll start with an introduction to the organ body. So go ahead and rest back and lie down on your backs. We'll do kind of a guided relaxation to get started. So maybe let yourself settle in with a few deep breaths. And then bring your attention to your heart center, the center of your being. It's an incredibly important organ in your body. It continually takes nutrients through your bloodstream to all the cells of your body and then draws waste products away from the cells of your body. And in our culture, it's widely understood that the heart is symbolic of love. And the heart is symbolic of love, and your circulatory system, your blood, is symbolic of the circulation of that love. So this constant flow of giving and receiving to and from your heart. And so our heart has to do with the balance between giving and receiving. And so you can even begin now to start to reflect on this balance of giving and receiving in your life. And then shift your awareness to your lungs. Your lungs continue this relationship of taking in and giving out. So another organ that is about giving and taking, giving and receiving. And our lungs are symbolic of the kind of oneness that we talk about in yoga philosophy, because they are a mediator between our inside and outside world. So the lung is symbolic of the interdependence between our internal and external environment. When you take air into your body, you're literally bringing in part of your external environment into your being, and it becomes part of your being. And as you breathe out, part of your being goes out into the world. So there's this incredible sense of interconnection through your breath. And I think the lungs and breath is one of the very concrete ways that we can understand this philosophy of oneness that yoga is all about. So bring your attention now to your liver, which rests just below your right ribs. Your liver is your largest internal organ. Your largest organ on your body is actually your skin, which is an external organ. Your liver is your largest internal organ, and it's responsible for detoxification. So in our bodies, it means it breaks down toxins like sugar and fat and alcohol, toxic substances, and it detoxifies them so they're safe for the body. And so in terms of the life connection to the liver is about releasing toxic substances from our life, letting go of things that are toxic in our lives. And this includes emotions. So the liver is known as an organ that stores repressed anger. So if you have anger, it's better to express your anger than it is to keep it inside. And so there are healthy outlets for the expression of anger. And then your gallbladder works directly with your liver. It produces bile, which helps to break down fats in your body. And so it has to do with our ability to break down and assimilate incoming information. And in our culture, our information age, where there's so much information available to us and so much information that's continually coming to us. Our gallbladder is about our ability to break it down and assimilate it. Now shift your awareness around to the back of your body, to your kidneys, which are just underneath your lungs and ribs at the back of your body on your high waist. And your kidneys are responsible also for detoxification. They release liquid toxins from the body through your urine. And in particular, through this process of detoxification through the kidneys help to create this balance between acid and alkaline in your body. And so the kidneys are about balance. So they're about keeping balance with our relationship with others, but also they're the balance between the masculine and feminine energy in our own being. And so we'll work with that a bit later today. And then tied directly to your kidneys is your bladder. And your bladder is about adaptability. Your bladder has this capacity to expand to the size of a grapefruit and shrink right back down depending on how much fluid is in it. So when we look at our bladder, we're talking about being adaptable rather than getting stuck in old patterns or ways of being or problems. Our spleen is part of our immune system, and it's known for removing foreign substances and infusing our blood with new immune cells. And so when our spleen is really healthy, it's said that we have great clarity, great mental clarity. Now bring your focus and attention to your stomach. And your stomach is, physically in your physical body, it's about taking in food and absorbing that food. So it's about absorbing what you need and receiving nourishment. And so I think this is another really big one in our culture because we tend to be, I think, a culture of excess. So we can eat a lot of food, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's nourishing. You can eat a whole bag of Doritos, but that might not actually nourish you in any way. But if you eat a small amount of nutritious food, then it's incredibly nourishing for your bodies. And same in your life. We can be engaged in a lot of activities and relationships that aren't necessarily nourishing. But if we selectively choose things that are nourishing to us, it's very healthy for us. Then with the stomach, we work with the small intestine, and the small intestine continues this idea of absorbing what we need. And the cool thing about the small intestine is that it takes the larger food from the stomach and it breaks it down into smaller parts, and then it distributes it to the parts of the body that you need it. So kind of like the gallbladder, it's responsible for breaking things down into smaller pieces and deciding what to do with each piece. So this is kind of skill that we use in our life too. When you have a really big project, you're going to break it down into smaller pieces and decide what to do with each piece. So it's very similar in your small intestine. And then we'll finish our practice today with the large intestine, your colon. And this is the final stage in your body where waste material is released from your body. And this has to do on a metaphysical level with letting go of what no longer serves you. So just reflect back on all those organs that we've talked about here to begin with, and notice if anything or any of the sort of life connections with them really stood out to you. So large intestine, small intestine, your stomach, your spleen, your bladder, your kidneys, your gallbladder, your liver, your lungs, and your heart. Maybe one of them really seemed to stand out to you. And perhaps that can be part of your focus for setting your intention today. So ask yourself how this yoga practice could best serve you in your life right now. What is it you're trying to create in your life? And how is your next hour of practicing yoga here with Namaste Yoga going to help you receive that in your life? Okay, and then take a deep breath and let it go. So we're actually going to continue lying on your back. We'll start with the heart organ. If you want to wiggle and stretch a little bit, that's totally fine. We're going to start with Ujjayi breath for the heart. So if you know how to do Ujjayi breath, you can go ahead and begin Ujjayi breath. And if you don't, then let's talk about the steps you take to get into Ujjayi breath. So I want you to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth as though you're fogging up a mirror. And keep doing that. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth as though you're fogging up a mirror. And as you continue to do that, become aware of the shape of your mouth and your throat, and just focus on keeping that shape. And then the next time you breathe out, you can close your lips and continue your breath in and out through your nose. And then you get that ocean sounding breath, that Ujjayi breath. Can you think of anything that you add to that when you teach? Yeah, so Nink is also saying like fogging a mirror with your mouth closed, and then feeling it like at the back of your skull when you breathe in, sort of. Yeah. So directing your breath to the back of your skull. Oh, that works really nicely. So see which work for you, and like any breath practice, this can take a while to sort of get used to. So you'll hear your breath because your breath actually travels over your vocal cords. And the reason why we're doing this breath for your heart is that it's a breath that really slows down and lengthens your breath considerably. I was noticing last night that I was taking about 3 breaths a minute when I was practicing this with my class. And so the benefit that this has to your heart is that it correspondingly slows down your heart rate. And because your heart works all the time, it never gets a break. And so one way we can give your heart a break is by slowing it down. And so a nice slow, smooth, long breath like Ujjayi breath helps to give the heart a rest. Okay, and then let this be the last breath in and breath out of Ujjayi breath. And then you're gonna slowly make your way over onto your stomach. So one of the ways that I want it to work with the organs in the body is by using the Thai energy lines. One of the things that I do is Thai massage, and there are energy lines that work in the body that are not the same as Chinese meridians. They're called Zen lines in Thai, and they're different. So the energy line that works for the heart is like an X in the body. It crosses over one side and the other. So we're gonna do a kind of X-like pattern on our stomachs that will work for your heart. So this is one of my favorite twists, but it's not, I don't think it's like a made up pose. So you're gonna put your body into an X shape. Now somebody's gonna email and go, no, it's da-da-da-da asana, right? Body's in an X shape, and then you're going to lengthen long through your right leg and cross it over your body. Keep your shoulders level to the ground, but rotate your hip. And then you can come back center. And we'll do this on the other side. So lengthen long through your left leg and start to cross it over your body. Lift your left hip. And then you can lower that down. Okay, so from here we'll move into your lungs. So take your hands in front of you. And not surprisingly, the energy line for your lungs runs pretty much from your navel up to the base of your throat along your breastbone. So you're going to just start to walk your elbows underneath you until you bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. Drop your shoulders down away from your ears and think about broadening through your chest, lifting your heart. And here you want to check in with the back of your neck too. Make sure it's long. A lot of times people try to make this pose go further by lifting their head. Just check in and see if your chin and your forehead are at the same level or if your chin's really lifted. And just check in with your lungs and notice what you're feeling in your lungs here too. Okay, and then you can lower down and push up and back into child's pose to stretch out your low back. After that is a counterpose. Okay, now come back down onto your stomach. We're going to do a little vinyasa, so that's moving with breath. And this one really connects you to your lungs. So what I want you to do is lie on your stomach. You'll take your hands right underneath your shoulders, your elbows along the side of your body pointing back and up. And then I want you to breathe in and begin to feel your lungs inflate. And as you do that, ride the inflation of your lungs up. And then as you exhale, feel your lungs deflate and ride the deflation back down. So we'll just go back and forth like that. And move with your own breath and riding your lungs. So you don't necessarily have to come up far. Let the lungs be the thing that lifts you here. Pressing the front of your pelvis into the ground and keeping your shoulders rolled back and up. You can ride the yawns too. Do the yawns go more in your head? Okay, come up and back. And sit back on your heels. On that note, I think we're done with that pose. Okay, and then come up to a comfortable seated position for you. So whatever that is for you. You might sit kneeling or legs crossed or legs straight out in front of you with your back against the wall, in a chair, whatever works best for you. So the lines for your lungs, the thigh energy lines, the sun lines, run up across your chest and then up the side of your neck to the base of your ears. So what we're going to do is stretch the side of our neck. So lower your right ear towards your right shoulder. And as you do this, I want you to just notice and pay attention to your breath and see if you can feel and become aware of what's happening in your lungs as you do this. And bring it back center, and then slowly lower your right ear towards your right side. And again, just really bring your awareness and become curious about what's happening in your body. And so there's never any wrong answers of what's happening. We're simply collecting information. It's a way of awareness, and mindfulness is part of our internal alignment. Part of our internal alignment is breath, and another part of our internal alignment is having mindfulness on what we're doing. Okay, and then bring your head back center. And we've had all sorts of interesting discussion all this week in classes about what we've noticed when we were doing this. And I have to say, each time I do it, I notice something different. It's not that it's the same all the time. And there's been so many different answers, descriptions of what people notice in their bodies when they do this. Do you have anything to share about what you noticed?
I noticed the side I was stretching the neck, that lung was open more. That's what it felt like.
So Ninka was noticing that the side where she was stretching more, she felt the lung open more. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our liver and our gallbladder. So I want to do a couple of warm-up exercises for our next posture. So if you want to sit with your legs straight out in front of you, and you may want to prop yourself up to do that, we're going to cross your right leg over your left leg. I was working with a client with arthritis this morning. We were doing all these really great joint exercises. Yeah, me too. And, well, here, do you want to fill up? May I have one too, please? We were doing all these really great joint exercises, and I was thinking about how great they would be for warm-ups for Pigeon and stuff, which is what we're going to do next, because we're going to be working for the liver and gallbladder. It's the inside and outside of your inner and outer thighs. So I thought next time I do Pigeon, I'm going to do these poses as a warm-up. So we'll check it out. Maybe we should do Pigeon first and see what the difference after. Just to check it? Yeah. Okay, let's do Pigeon just to see, and then we'll do these warm-up exercises and see how they impact it. So you can do a down dog and just a quick in, right knee forward, right heel over to your left hip bone and fold forward. Just check that out. And we'll come out and just check out the other side. Okay, and then come back to a seated position. We'll do those warm-up exercises for your hips. So, starts with crossing your right leg over your left leg. And you're gonna inhale, draw your right knee up towards your chest. Yeah, and then exhale, lower it down. So the leg's just crossed. Yeah, and you're just moving the hip and the joint, right? Exhale and lower. Inhale up. And exhale and lower. Okay, and then what you're gonna do is lift up the knee and circle the leg bone in the joint. And circle it the other way as well. Okay, and then release your right leg out. Huh. You see how your foot's, yeah, our right legs are longer now. Okay, so now bend your left leg in and cross your left ankle over. And we did the inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. These are great preparatory poses for lotus too. Which we're not doing today, so you don't have to get anxious about that. Okay, and then circle your hip joint. And circle the other way. Okay, and release. Even. Okay, now I'm really curious to check out Pigeon now. So this is for your liver and your gallbladder. Come onto all fours and then tuck your toes under. Lift your hips. And take your right leg back and up. And first let's do an open here too. Open your right hip. Okay, now bring your right leg forward. Cross your right heel over to your left hip bone. Ooh. And then fold forward. Ooh. Feels juicy and nice and warm. Does it feel different to you? That's nice. So, and yet you're still feeling this along the outside of your legs, so we're doing this for your liver and your gallbladder. So in this pose, you want your hips to be level on the back of your body. You could come up on your forearms if it's too far forward, or use a bolster underneath your torso here too. And as I'm staying, I also noticed that it seems to be easier to stay. Okay, and then come on back.
I love Pigeon.
Do you love it?
I love it.
I love it too. It's one of my favorite postures. Okay, step back. I like hip opening classes. So left leg up and open. Ooh. And then bring your left leg through. Bring your left heel over to your right hip bone. And then fold forward over your, yeah, that just seems to be a little more ease in the joint. I'm still really feeling the intensity in the muscles. It's not that I'm not, but there just seems to be more cushioniness in the joint. Good, and then you can come out of that, and we're gonna work your inner thighs now too. So let's start with this warm up for the one we'll do for your inner thighs. So bring the soles of your feet together, and then you can inhale, lift your knees up, and exhale, open them down. How else would you describe the squishiness you feel in your joints after you do that? Just squish. You're not getting that? Oh.
I'm tight in these joints.
Feels tight.
I always, yeah, I'd like to feel squishy.
I feel squishy when I do that in the joints. Okay, so now we're gonna do everybody's favorite pose. You ready, Ninka?
Oh,
Frog.
No.
I know. So frog, your legs are at a 90-degree angle. Your toes are drawing up towards your face. You tuck your toes under. Good. And you can come down on your forearms. Bolsters are great here. Tendency in this pose is for people to lean forward and lift their tails. So keep your tail tucked under and lean back. Hoya kawabanga, let me tell you. Teaching this pose every day this week has been an increasingly intense experience. So I think it's interesting that the emotion associated with the liver and the gallbladder is an intense emotion, anger, and these poses that work with those organs are also very intense. Okay, I think that's enough for me for today. So the way I like to come out of this is to lean forward and lift your legs, and then you can even windshield wiper them. Just try not to hit you in the head. Oh yeah, the best part of that pose is coming out of it. I have have to say that is never a pose I practice by myself. Only in class.
Me neither.
Yeah. That's a
It's
a teaching only pose. Come on back up to seated. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our kidneys. In kidneys, we're going to focus today with our kidneys on balancing our masculine and our feminine energy. So it's interesting this week when I went to Ninka's class was all about honoring the feminine energy. So with alternate nostril breathing, this is good because you can show the mudra you use and I'll show the mudra I use. There are two mudras. Take your left hand and bring your thumb and index finger together, and we won't actually mirror them in this one. And then your right hand, I like to use the mudra where you put your two fingers out, and Ninka uses a mudra where you tuck the two fingers in. And I think it just depends on what you were taught. Okay, so if you do the two fingers out, they rest on the center of your forehead, and the two fingers in just go on the center of the nose. Then what you're going to do is close your right nostril and breathe in through your left nostril. Close your left nostril, breathe out through your right nostril. Breathe in through your right nostril. Close right, breathe out left. Breathe in through your left. Close left, breathe out right. Breathe in right. Close right, breathe out left. Breathe in left. Close left, breathe out right. Breathe in right. Close right and breathe out left. Okay, and then bring your hand down. Let's just talk about that. I want to get kind of talk about one thing and take this exercise to the next level for the kidneys today. So the one thing that I want to talk about is that when you close your nostrils, apparently it's better to close them right up at the top, right where the hard cartilage is at the top, right below that where it's soft. There's little tiny holes there. And when you close there, it's apparently better for your nose than closing down here. Then the other thing that I wanted to do is add sort of visualization of your breath with that, so that as you breathe in, you'll breathe in and up along your left side of your spine and breathe out down along the right side of your spine. Then you'll breathe up along the right side of your spine and breathe down along the left side of your spine. So you're working those sun and moon channels. The left side is the moon channel, it's said to be the feminine channel. The right side is the masculine channel, the sun channel. And so when you do this, we'll think about breathing from the kidneys, breathing in from the left kidney up the left side, breathing out down to the right kidney, then breathing up from the right kidney down to the left kidney, like that. Okay, makes sense?
Yes, the side you're breathing, that's the side you're focusing.
Yeah, that's a good question. So she's saying the side you're breathing, that's the side you're focusing. And when you're breathing in, you're drawing up. When you're breathing out, you're drawing down. Okay. So in thumb and index finger again, choose your mudra. And then close your right nostril. Breathe in through your left nostril. Close your left nostril. Breathe out through your right nostril. Breathe in right. Close right, breathe out left. Breathe in left. Close left, breathe out right. Breathe in right. Close right, breathe out left. And keep going with this on your own. And the next time you breathe out through your left nostril, you can lower your right hand down. Take a couple of breaths in the center. So I think it's interesting that the kidneys are responsible for creating balance between the acid and the alkaline in your body. And breath practice is known to be very alkalining in your body. So we tend to be too acidic in our bodies in North America. A lot of the foods that we eat, a lot of people eat like wheat and meat and dairy. They create a lot of acidity in the body. And foods like leafy green vegetables create more alkaline body. And so even things like breath practice can create more alkalinity in the body, which is you want to have balance between the two, and when there's too much acid in the body, you get a lot of inflammatory diseases like arthritis. Okay, so continuing with the kidneys and balancing our masculine and feminine energies, we're going to come to standing and do 2 standing postures. I feel they're fairly similar shapes, and yet one is a much more masculine pose and one is a much more feminine pose. So come up to standing. So let's start with we always start with the masculine. What I love what Ninka's doing in her classes right now, she's starting with the feminine. Let's start with the feminine. So you may need a block for this one. Or chair would work well too. And place your block down in front of your right foot. And we'll come into a standing forward fold on here. You can place the block underneath your right hand. And then you're going to take your left leg straight up and behind you. And you'll probably want to move your block out to the side a little bit. Open your left hip. You can keep both hands on the ground. And Ninka, you could even use the wall here if you wanted. You can open your left arm up. So this is a very feminine posture. It's very much about receiving the pose. If you try and do the pose here, it kind of will just collapse on itself. You have to be open and allowing. These are the feminine nurturing qualities. And then let's do this posture on the other side. So take your block under your left hand now and take your right leg up. Open your right hip and maybe lift your right arm. You can leave both hands on the ground. You can also do this pose against the wall. Do you want to show it against the wall, Ninka? Oh, did you? Okay. Oh, so Ninka's just using, did you just use your foot on the wall?
Well, this side, my foot actually came right to the wall of my heel, so I had a little extra support.
Yeah. Whoop. And the other way you can use this.
Right? That way, it's
Yeah.
just really supported.
Really supported.
Very supported, yeah. So what I find then, you're leaning into here.
Because you can lean into the wall.
You can totally just...
Ooh, look at that, no
Yeah.
block.
No block.
And the other way that I really like to do it, I'll show against the wall. Do you ever use your whole body on the wall? We often do it like this.
Because now, yeah, you can feel the alignment. Lower your leg a little bit. There you go.
Thanks. There's this really great assist in this pose too. Do you want to receive it?
Sure.
Come.
Let me do my opposite.
Look at us playing.
Let me do my opposite side, right? So that's this way. Okay.
Just watch the Buddha and the candles.
Does your foot come right to the wall to do it? It's kind of scary. My foot doesn't want to go right to the wall.
Okay. So the assist in this that's really nice is, this seems higher than,
Oh, wow.
isn't that nice? It's a good one in Trikonasana too.
Smoking.
Does it feel okay?
Mm-hmm. It's intense. I feel like it right through here.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. So that's a kind of, you can do that assist in Trikonasana too. It's nice. Okay. So that was the feminine. We'll give a little space for the masculine too. Okay, come up to standing. So the shape that I feel is like that in the masculine pose is warrior 3. You know, body tips forward, but it's so linear in comparison. Take your arms straight in the air. Exhale and hinge forward through your hips. Ooh, warrior 3. And see how this one sort of relies more on strength and stability, and the other one was so much more fluid and opening. And then come up. Okay. Let's do this on the other side. Inhale up. Exhale. Fold forward. Good, and then come on back up. Oh, I like that too, the steeple mudra. Yeah. And of course you can use the wall with these ones too, so you can use your hands on the wall. One way that I love, yeah, with your foot on the wall, this is surprisingly, I find challenging this way. But it gives you another point, it gives you another floor, right? Another piece of stability. So those are 2 ways to play with them too. Okay, let's come down onto your stomach, and we'll do a pose for your stomach and your small intestine. The energy lines for that run along the front of your body. Okay, so hands by the side of your body. Roll your shoulders back and up. Bring your arms in line with your shoulders, so their fingers are pointing towards your toes. Press the front of your pelvis into the ground. Lengthen long through both legs. And lift your chest off the ground.
Just the chest and the feet too?
Chest and the feet, yeah. And we were talking last night about modifications for this would be right arm and right leg, Or left arm and left leg.
This is the Kripalu boat pose.
Yes. So Ninka is saying in Kripalu they call this boat pose. I've always thought it should be called boat pose because you do feel just like a boat floating on the water. Okay, and lower down. Push yourself back and up into child's pose. Okay. Okay, and then make your way over onto your back for the final pose. So not the final pose, but the the penultimate. I was going to say the final letting go, but not the final letting go either. Okay, this is large intestine, your colon. It runs right kind of along here, right, I think on the inside of your hip bones, just right in along here and across. Okay, so what we're going to do, the classic pose for large intestine. What do you, I call this
Ardha Pavana Muktasana.
Ardha Pavana Muktasana. I call this one Apanasana, but Ardha Pavana Muktasana. Now you can hold on behind your knee here if you have any knee issues. And just the intention here is to feel the leg pressing down on your colon. Ardha Pavana Muktasana. And then release your right leg and just check out, feel the difference here in your colon on this side. So amazing. And then draw your other knee in.
You know, it translates to
Wind relieving.
Yeah.
Wind relieving pose, yes.
Well, what about your name?
Apanasana, it does too.
Okay.
Yep. That's what it translates to. Do you know this one is Apanasana?
This is Pavana Muktasana.
Pavana Muktasana.
Right, the Ardha is half, right?
Okay.
So this is Ardha Pavana Muktasana.
I wonder if it's like eggplant, aubergine, fennel, aniseed. You know what I mean? Sometimes I wonder if it's like that. Okay, and then release your legs down, and I want you to practice corpse pose to finish, because corpse pose, and Ninka's been talking a lot about this in her teaching lately, which I think is so interesting, is about the final letting go corpse pose. And in our practice, we practice a mini death at the end of our practice, a letting go. So finish up here, take about 5 or so minutes, 10 if you can, for Shavasana, for corpse pose. And we'll see you next week for our first class in the organ series for the heart and the lungs. And thanks, Ninka, for coming. She's at yogabliss.me. You can check her out.